Hey y'all, I'm Byron.
And I'm Margaret, and we'd like to welcome you back to the Beyond I Do podcast.
In this episode, we will discuss how we survive parenting while maintaining our relationship and sanity. We are not marriage counselors or mental health providers. We are simply sharing what has worked for us in our marriage.
So, as we've previously mentioned, we have 2 birth children, 2 adopted children, and we have one who is not legally adopted, but we still consider him ours. Throughout the years, we've experienced a lot of parenting ups and downs because of the dynamics of our family. So we've compiled some of our best advice, along with advice that we found from other sources, and we want to share what we've learned. The sources we used for this episode will be linked on our website.
We were young parents who had only officially been together for a short time before having our son. What was we?
22 and 23.
22 and 23. Oh man. We still had a lot of growing up to do ourselves. But regardless of your age, becoming a parent for the first time definitely takes some adjusting. Adjusting to a new baby. Understand that this is new and you will need to adjust to these changes. It will take more time to do everything. Going to the store will require you to get yourself ready, but also you have to get the baby ready. Make sure to be prepared for this adjustment.
So we were some of the first in our friend group to have kids. There was a couple that we would hang out with. They were dating and then got married.
Yeah.
And I remember we were meeting them for dinner.
Oh yeah.
And I guess she had gotten a little bit hangry while she was waiting for us. But we had to, and we tried to explain, we had to get the baby ready. We had to drop him off, and it was a chore to get ready. And she smiled, but I still don't think that she was convinced.
Yeah, she didn't understand until
they had
Because we'd be like, all right, we're gonna meet at 8:00, but 8:00 turned to like 8:15, 8:20. Yeah, it might be 8:30 sometimes, but
Some of that is because one of us is not very time conscious. But anyways.
I'm time conscious when it's important.
But anyways. But it is a big adjustment having to get, and also there's an adjustment when we had our son, we had him first, versus when we had our daughter, because getting ready to go with her, I had to do hair, and there was multiple pairs of shoes to go with the different outfits. So it was even more to get her ready when she was little.
People always, we tried to have a baby bag and all that stuff prepared, but sometimes just sitting around the house, you would end up using some diapers out of it, or because you're too lazy to go to the room and get diapers or wipes or whatever, and then you leave the house and oh shoot, we ain't got no pills. So then you have to go buy some while you're out, or turn around and come back home. So it's just try to be prepared as you can, but it ain't always gonna happen.
So our second bit of advice would be to accept help from others.
Yes.
Do not be ashamed to accept help. I was very thankful that my mother and mother-in-law were very involved in those first few days when we brought my son home. And
you gonna tell the cabbage story?
So, so you're going to put me out there like that.
Hey,
okay.
I got embarrassing stories to tell. You had some.
So we brought our son home, and I did not breastfeed. So my mother-in-law and my grandmother told me what I needed to do so that the breast milk would dry up.
Old school remedies.
And
There you go.
they said I needed to put liniment on my breast and then cabbage leaves and wrap that with the ACE bandages. And so for them, I guess telling me was not good enough. So my first day home from the hospital, they pulled me into the room, made me put my hands above my head.
Yep.
And my grandmother rubbed the liniment on.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mother-in-law held the cabbage leaves.
Yep.
And I cried
Yep.
because I felt so violated. And then I was mad because you let them.
Hey, I was just doing what I was told. Man, I had to go. Imagine, I had to go in the store and buy that stuff.
Boo-hoo. Anyway, so aside from that, I was so thankful though to have that help because there was a moment in the hospital when I realized that I couldn't call the nurses when I needed a nap.
Mm-hmm.
That they really meant we were gonna leave with him.
Yeah.
We were gonna take him with us. So, and that the fact that they trusted us,
Mm-hmm.
they trusted us to take him with us. But
And also, we definitely had to thank, because I mean, we were in our early 20s.
mm-hmm.
So we got to thank your mama, my sister, and my niece.
Yes,
Because they helped us out as far as like, you know, we need a break for the weekend. Wanting to go hang out, do whatever.
yeah,
They definitely assisted us in that, and that helped us tremendously. So shout out to them for all the help they had given us throughout the years.
yeah. That was. I think that was. I think those times too helped us as a couple.
Yeah.
To be able to have those times. So definitely, we had some family members that helped us out and were there for us during that time.
Yep. Yep. And those breaks are very important. All right. So realize that you will change. Yes, you are going to change. Your perspective will change when you become a parent. Now, there are some things that I know that I never thought of until I became a parent. Now, you know, of course, you know, I had several nieces and nephews, but still having your own was totally different. So, your perspective had to change, your actions had to change. You know, I couldn't just go hang out with the fellas. I had to be a part of raising my son. Remember when the baby was small, he was still in diapers, and we had decided that since I was working, that and I would get up with the baby on the weekends, and
Y'all don't make arrangements like that. Don't do that to yourself.
Well, I mean, I still, you know, sometimes I would still hear him crying and would still get up periodically, but, you know, for the most part, that was what our arrangement we discussed, and that's what we decided. But, you know, I had to be a part of getting up, feeding, changing diapers, you know. That was, you know, an adjustment, but, you know, it was all worth it in the end, I think.
What about your mama asking me if you mind changing his diaper?
Oh, yeah.
So we had gone to church and we had gone out to eat.
Mm.
And while we were eating, he needed his diaper changed, and he said, you know, I'll get him. And he got the bag and went. And when he walked off, your mom said, he don't mind doing that. Doing what? Changing his diaper. No, man, he didn't mind making him.
You know, too, this was like late 90s, so, you know, they had change stations in the men's restroom, too, so it definitely was no bother for me. I mean, and that's one thing I never understood, like, you know, the dudes who would be like, you know, I've never done that, you know, I couldn't do that.
Or I have to babysit my child.
I have to babysit my child.
Not
like,
your child.
You ain't babysitting.
It's not babysitting, it's your child.
Keeping your child, brother.
Right.
I mean, come on. But, you know. But anyway, yeah, you have to learn to make adjustments as parents.
Everything changes.
Yeah, everything changes.
Your perspective on where you live, the things that you do, how your things affect.
Becomes important. What school system you want to live in.
The music you listen to, like everything, the TV shows. I know for a while, I didn't watch television in the living room. Even when they were asleep, because I watch a lot of true crime type things, and I was always scared that they would get up and walk and, you know, kind of hover.
Come in and see the wrong
right.
thing, yeah.
But, so everything changes. Your perspective changes on a lot of things.
Side note, like, I remember riding in the car and stuff, you know, when the kids would be with me, and I was by myself. It was Wu-Tang, Nas... you know, T.I., Outkast, whatever, but they get in the car and throw the gospel on, maybe throw the radio on, but, you know.
We listen to a lot of, like, 90s R&B and stuff like that, because our kids...
The older they got, you know, we kind of made adjustments, like, okay, because, I mean, we couldn't hide, like, I know our son was a big Beyonce fan coming up, so, you know, he was listening to stuff on his own when he
That's when they got older,
so
yeah.
it's like, you know, well, I stopped hiding stuff because they was, you know, they were of age to where they could understand some of the things that they were saying, but, you know, those younger years, man, we tried to keep them away as much as we could, but it is what it is.
So, the next tidbit of advice.
Oh, yes, this is the most important.
It is. Don't make your child clean their plate at dinner time.
Stop right there. Man. Love my mama. God bless the dead. But growing up, we had to clean our plate. And I want y'all to listen to this now. What is wrong with the obesity rate in our country today? Probably because your mama done made you clean your damn plate, okay? All right, now psychologically, now I feel like I have to eat everything on my plate. Now, I know I ain't the only one in this now, but, you know, that's, you know, eat your greens, eat this, eat that, eat everything, you know. And I get where it came from. I get where it came from. Yeah, my mom used to fix some big plates. You know, I was the youngest of 10, so I get where it come from, you know. You know, I always have food, you know, in the earlier days. But, you know, growing up, and I was thankful for God, we had food. I mean, we didn't go hungry. I was
about to say you
but, you know,
did, but the
flip side of that is psychologically, I feel like I have to go clean my plate. So when we go to the buffet, I got to clean that plate. And then eat dinner, I got to clean that plate. So, I mean, you know, that was some awful advice that I think that society has passed on. So, don't make your kids clean their plates.
I know for me, I had an older cousin that would babysit me during the summer, and I would have either Chef Boyardee ravioli or beefaroni, and she would take my Tahitian drink soda and put it, yes, and put it on ice and put it up to where I couldn't reach it, but I could still see it, and I could see the condensation forming on it. And she wouldn't make me eat all of my food before I could have some of it, but I would have to eat a good bit of it, and then I could only get a drink, and then she'd put it back. And so, I mean, when you make your kid eat one thing to get something else, it's just opening the door for all types of eating disorders and bad eating habits.
That made me think about my middle sister. Like I said, I'm the youngest 10, so I had siblings who had children at my age. So this particular sister, her husband, was in the military. He was in the Army. And they would come visit us wherever they were stationed at. They would come visit us when they would get leave or whatever. So a lot of times the rules would change when they come because, you know, her rule was you don't get into the Drake until you finish your plate. And I ain't like that. I want my Kool-Aid while I'm eating. That's just a little sidebar. But anyway, discipline is a good thing. Discipline is how children learn which behaviors are acceptable and which ones are not. People have different beliefs about the types of discipline is or is not acceptable, and that's cool. Just decide what works for you and your family and do something, as long as it's not abusive. That's right, a long man in the 80s.
Yeah, we experienced some things.
We got abused, y'all. We got abused, y'all. And I know people always say, well, you know, and we'll talk about, like, with grown folks today. They'll be like, well, I'm on the whoop me, and it ain't bother me. It ain't make me turn out. I turned out good. Did you really? But, you know, I mean, some of that stuff was...
Yeah, some of it was too much.
Was abuse, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. But
we appreciated times when natural consequences occurred. Yes. And we always talk to our kids before and after we discipline them.
Yeah.
Sometimes that conversation beforehand was a little heated.
Yeah.
But we made sure to let them know this is why you are receiving a consequence.
And also, I didn't want to damage my children the way our folks did it. So, you know, to me it was as simple, like, you know, a spanking should be no more than about 2 or 3 licks. I mean, because anything other than that is just pain at that point. So it's like, you know, I didn't see the point in, you know, and I hated to do it. Our parents would be like, it's going to hurt me more than it hurt you. No, it ain't. This really hurt. Physically hurt. Now, I might emotionally, but I get what they were saying. I mean, didn't want to do it, but it was like, there again, our kids, for some reason, the problems were mainly at home. And not at, you know, as much more than they were at school.
Right.
So, you know, we were disciplined for stuff that was happening at home. You know,
right.
Like, God, no, but, you know.
But that's a good thing, too, though. One thing that we have never experienced, even in the times that they did something either at home or with scouts, even those times that they did something, it was a shock to the adults involved.
Yeah.
They would come to us and say, you know, this is not normal. We don't expect this. So that, I mean, that I'm proud of that. I'm proud of how they turned out and
even when they would go away and spend a night with people, I ain't had no problems out of them.
Yeah,
it seemed like as soon as y'all pulled up.
Yep, that's when they save it all for us. And I think too that speaks to their level of comfort with us. Our kids, and the boy said something about not feeling comfortable speaking up for himself. I don't know when that's ever been an issue.
Yeah, I don't understand.
But they both are very open and honest with us, and they are comfortable. Sometimes, in fact, too comfortable. Yeah, right. Sometimes it's like, I don't even want to hear that, please. But I think that speaks to them feeling comfortable and feeling like, okay, You know, I'm safe, and that's. I mean, you want your kids to feel safe at home and comfortable with you, and that was the thing with discipline is, I didn't want them to be afraid of us. I wanted them to respect the boundaries and things. So
definitely respect. That was most important. Didn't want the fear, you know, and everybody talk about, well, I want my child to fear me. I mean, you know, to an extent, but, you know, which we're going to talk about in our next segment, you know, you have to, once they become adults, then you have to have that level of relationship with them. And that's why I think it's more important to, you know, kind of watch the things you do and watch the things you say, but we'll talk about that more.
So our situation was unique in that we had our two birth children, and then we adopted a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And we adopted a teenager out of from the system. So obviously, if there's a teenager placed in state custody, there are issues, there are concerns. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, when we adopted her, it was too late. And she said, I wish that you had adopted me sooner, because she had been through so much. So she ran away, and for several years we didn't have contact with her. Mm-hmm. She came back into the picture with a baby. Yep. But she was not ready for parenthood at the time, so we adopted the baby. And about 4 years ago now, the baby, who was around 8 at the time, she'll be 12 this month.
Mm-hmm. Yep, this month.
She went to live with her birth mom, so we
started letting her stay for the summers.
Right. She would go for summers and holidays, and then now she's with her birth mom full time. So our parenting role has shifted into grandparents with that relationship, and with the others, they are adults. So we now have shifted our thinking and our way of parenting because our children are adults. Mm-hmm. That has been an adjustment for all parties involved.
Yes, it is.
I think for me, the adjusting my the hands-on part and pulling back and allowing them to make choices, that's been hard for me. I want to jump in and not necessarily save, but save. I want to jump in and prevent, because I feel like, you know, we've put all of this stuff in place for you to have this successful start, and you're not doing what I envisioned you doing.
It's hard to find that balance, because you want to. I mean, you hope that you've taught them everything they needed, but you know, there again, it's like when they become adults. Okay, how do you guide them? How do you tell them things without telling them too much information?
Right.
You know, or information they don't need at that time. And that's like, you know, and I've always been like, you know, approaching things from a reactionary standpoint. Now if they come to you or they come to me and be like, hey, Dad, how do I do this? And then I ask, because it's hard to know everything that they're going to need to know, or what they don't know, you know.
Right.
And so that creates a level of, well, I'm scared they don't know enough. It's hard.
It is, and we were so young when we married and had our son, and you know, I've had to explain to him, we grew up with you, and unfortunately you were the first, so some things that we thought would be successful were not.
But you know, I think too that, you know, our outlook on things is going to be different, because our generation was a lot more self-sufficient.
Definitely.
Than they were at that time. You know, like we started out working, you know, high school, whatever, and that taught us, okay, work through college, work through those years, So when we got together, we knew, okay, it was understood that, okay, we needed to work to pay for things. I don't know where that disconnect was with them in this generation because they don't want to work. Or they feel like, they want to do as less, or they want to find their way. I get it with their way, but how do you, uh, uh, like when I tell them, okay, well, go such and such, they're applying to hire. I don't want to work that kind of job. Okay, well, you ain't never worked for. What kind of job you think you gonna get? So it's that self sufficiency is not as there as we had it, and that's where I struggle with personally. Like, cause hey, when I was your age, I was doing this, or I had this kind of mindset, and they don't have that same way of thinking. So that creates a level of difficulty for me.
That's and another issue that we experience with the 21-year-old who still lives with us.
Mm-hmm.
She's in college, she's working, but she bounces back and forth between wanting to be a full-grown woman.
Yeah.
1 minute, and then the next minute she wants to be a big baby.
Yeah.
And having to create boundaries so that I'm not giving in when she does those things. That's another challenge.
Yeah. And I know for me, I know, when it comes to like the transportation situation, that probably is my biggest stressor because I'm trying to help my son. He doesn't live with us anymore. Trying to help him out with his vehicle and the issues that he has. We have an extra vehicle and it has issues, and then we have our personal vehicles. And so, when he's calling me and like, hey, I need this, or my truck is doing this, then I'm like, okay, well, you can get the extra vehicle. And he gets the extra vehicle, and there's things going on with that. So that's been the biggest challenge for me because I want to, have everything done, and it's kind of difficult at times. And then
you just needed to get this off your chest.
Him not living with us, it just makes it difficult too because, it's like, well, he'll call me and be like, well, both of them, this vehicle is making a noise. Okay, well, what kind of noise is it making? All right, bring it over here and let me hear it. I have to hear the noise and I have to figure stuff out.
Another thing that, and I came across this as we were researching this episode, and it kind of confirmed my thinking anyways, but we still spend time with them. We still have our family nights, and aside, not just holidays, but, we'll sit and our son he raps and writes. Our daughter sings and wants desperately to be able to write.
Yeah.
So sometimes we just sit around with music playing and we bounce lyrics off of each other. And so we still have those moments where we spend time together. We love true crime shows. We love fake crime shows.
Fake crime shows, yeah.
So we have our TV shows that we'll sit and watch together. So we still know that there's value in spending that time with them as adults. Yeah. And that also gives us the opportunity when questions come up or to discuss certain things with them from this new perspective since they are adults.
Yeah, and we still do dinners. Or sometimes, when I'm off, sometimes I might take one of them to lunch or something like that, you know. Hey, let's have lunch, and then that's our bonding time or talking, and they'll ask me stuff, and I'll get a chance to explain stuff because it's fresh on their mind. I've dealt with this, so if the issue comes up, then okay, that's the time to talk about it.
And we also, and it's the same with our adopted children.
Yeah.
And we were talking one day about how they will they'll call or text us questions, and I'm like, I'm just gonna Google it to give them an answer. But then we talked about it and thought about it. They need that confirmation from us.
Mm-hmm.
And that still lets us know that as parents we're needed, and they need to know that they're making the right choices. So now when they do that, it makes me feel good, because I know that, okay, they're trying to learn these things on their own, but they still need that confirmation. And so we've been blessed to have our children, our birth children, our adopted children, our godchildren, and
our extended children also.
Yep. Yeah, we have been blessed. So.
All right, now it's time for our Let's Discuss It topic.
For this episode, our topic comes from an article that was originally posted in 2019, but in light of a lot of behavioral concerns after COVID, it was reposted, and that link will be in the show notes on our website. Mm-hmm. This particular article, a mom goes to school. She receives an email from the teacher, and the girl is in 8th grade. And the email is concerning the girl's behavior in class. Mm-hmm. And so the mom's decision to deal with the behavior is she makes a shirt that says, "I'm here because my child won't behave," and she goes to school with her daughter the next day. And she spends the day in 8th grade with her child, and she comes out of this situation very enlightened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I could not imagine being a child and my parent doing that. But as a teacher, I applaud this parent. Mm-hmm. She is my shero, because so many parents are oblivious to some of the behaviors that we face with their kids every day.
Yeah.
And you would be surprised at some of the things that kids do when there are no parents around. Mm-hmm. So the overall topic, and we discussed this more in depth on our YouTube channel, was whether or not it's acceptable to publicly shame your child when they have been misbehaving.
Well, and the public shaming, I'm kind of like, when we get into this a little more in the video, whereas, to a degree, but once people start posting videos on social media of what they do, then that's when I kind of have a problem with it, because it's like, it doesn't, you're pretty much doing it for likes and shares at this point, and is the child learning anything from that embarrassment, so it to me it doesn't do any good, but
and which, not necessarily with this mom. I feel like with what this mom did, I think that was appropriate.
Yeah, that was a little light.
In the video, we discussed another situation that was a little more crossing the line. Mm. But in this situation, I think the mom's response was brilliant, especially with an 8th grader. 8th graders at the top of the middle school. They're starting to feel themselves a little bit. So, right. Just to let her know, no, I'm still the mama in the situation.
Do you think it would have been more beneficial for the child to wear a shirt?
I think
I'm wearing this because I misbehave or whatever. Do you think
that I think would have been more. Like, that would have been more crossing the line than the mom wearing it.
Okay.
I think the mom wearing the shirt and coming to school that day, I think that was wonderful. And please click on the link and check out the article because she has a post. She had a list of observances with her day at the middle school. So please check that out because it's eye-opening, especially if you either don't have middle school kids, your kids haven't gotten that old yet, or you have not been inside of a school that is fully functioning yet. It is eye-opening.
And I tell you what, now, as far as what this parent did, I'm cool with it.
Yep.
In every sense, because I share on the video an embarrassing situation that I went through. And I tell you what, I'm sure glad we didn't have cell phones and social media in 1987, because I'd have had something that could have lived on. But, you know, as far as the posting things, now, recording stuff, I'm fine with that. You know, maybe you could share it with the child later on and say, hey, you know, this is this. But once you post it to social media, then it becomes, you know, what does that child learn from that? And at the same time, how does that make them feel, you know?
You know, with the little one, that was one thing. When she would have tantrums, I would take the phone out to record her, and she would shut it down instantly because she was embarrassed that she was doing that. And I wouldn't tell her I'm showing anybody or anything. Just the idea that it was being recorded, and then show it to her, and she'd laugh.
Yeah, she'd laugh and show it to her.
So. All right, so that's our Let's Discuss It topic. Make sure to check out the extended discussion on our YouTube channel. It's the Beyond I Do podcast YouTube channel, and we discuss the mom who goes to her daughter's school as well as another situation, and you get to hear his public shaming.
My embarrassing story. Yes. Please join us next time for episode 7. Where we'll talk about finding work-life balance.
In the meantime, please make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and comment and let us know what your parenting advice is. What type of tips do you have to offer? And also, don't forget to check out the YouTube channel for the extended Let's Discuss It topic.
Until next time, we will holler at y'all.